Good morning. We're going to call to order the recommending committee for June 3rd, 2024. And our first item has been done, so we'll move on to the announcement regarding the compliance with the open meeting law. I'm assuming we're in compliant.
You are.
Thank you. Item number 3 is public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters of the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, please come on down and make your voice heard. And hearing and seeing none, moving on to item number 4 for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the May 13th, 2024 recommending committee meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Please vote and please post. And please note for the record that Councilwoman Seaman did request to be absent for today, so she's excused. Item number 5 is bill number 2024-15 for possible action amends LVMC 6.02.060 and 6.02.115. No laughing. No laughing while I'm talking. I'm talking very fast. To update provisions regarding multi-jurisdictional business licenses to provide flexibility regarding the determination of eligible license categories. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Olivia Diaz, and I will turn it over to my left.
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem. So the item before you is 2 parts. It adds some clarification on the contractor's license, which is already under the multi-jurisdictional license category. It also gives discretion of the director for other categories to be put in pursuant to their discretion without having come back before council for each time an additional classification needs to be added. Any other questions? We have our licensing manager, Darcy, here to answer any of those questions if you have.
Any questions? Is there anything you'd like to add that it could help shed some light as to why we're doing this now?
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem. Darcy Ethelby-Hurd, Business Licensing Manager. This is just to get us in line exactly with the verbiage that the other jurisdictions have. The way that we had it was very specific to like 5 categories. By cleaning it up this way, as we move forward with other categories, we can work with the other jurisdictions and add categories as necessary. So we've been in talks with County, Henderson, North Las Vegas, maybe adding like a handyman or a landscaper, something like that. It'll make it so much easier to work with them and get, different multi-jurisdictional business licenses to be, together.
And this gives the director the discretion that, as to which licenses can be added into that category?
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Are there any questions up here? This is a public hearing for anybody who would like to comment.
That's the way I likes to rock.
Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve item bill number 2024-15. I don't have my glasses.
There is a motion. Please vote. And post. And that motion passes. Bill number 2024-15 will be eligible for adoption at the council meeting of June 26, 2024. Moving on to item number 6, bill number 2024-16 for possible action. Grants to Google Fiber Nevada, LLC, a non-exclusive franchise for the purpose of installing, operating, and maintaining within the city communications services, including broadband internet service and or telecommunications service, subject to and in accordance with the terms and conditions of the franchise agreement incorporated by reference into this ordinance. This is proposed by Mike Jansen, our city manager.
I can start us off if you like.
Thank you. And are we going to have a presentation from staff as well?
Yeah, Gina is here. Mayor Pro Tem, if you'd like to have her come up and make some comments, she can. It's kind of a unique opportunity.
I don't think you're on your mic.
Can you get it from the
There it is. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Chair. We do have our franchise expert in the house, and Gina can kind of explain to you how unique this was, that a franchise seeker actually was willing to work with us and come to, I think, a very positive conclusion.
So Mr. Steed, we'll probably start with you, and then Ms. Bishop will turn it over to you if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. The charter requires certain process every time you're going to grant a franchise having to do with telecommunications and related communication facilities. We apply it by analogy. So there's a public hearing that will be held this week.
because of the schedule that the manager's office wanted us to follow. It kind of brings this before you, before the public hearing, which happens on Wednesday. But since this is just a formality to adopt an ordinance, you certainly send it along with a recommendation for due pass, and then if for some reason after the public hearing the council doesn't want to go forward, no harm done.
Who's included in the public hearing?
I beg your pardon?
Who's included in the public hearing?
It's noticed by a newspaper.
Okay.
It's published twice.
Thank you. Ms. Bishop, do you mind giving us some context?
Yes, good morning, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilwoman. Gina Bishop, for the record, franchise officer for the city and in strategic services. As Val explained, because our charter requires an ordinance to grant a franchise, we have multiple processes that we need to follow to actually get the ordinance approved, which then will grant the franchise agreement to Google Fiber. This has been months in the making, probably maybe more like a year, working with Google Fiber on a franchise agreement that fits what they would like to do in the city to provide communication services to our residents and businesses. We have negotiated a 5-year agreement that is consistent with, the terms and conditions are consistent with the city's other franchise agreements, and specifically the telecommunications franchise agreements. But this one also has a focus on broadband, and it would authorize Google Fiber to provide broadband services to the city, within the city, and use the city's rights of way to provide those services. The agreement provides for a 2% franchise fee on the broadband service and a 5% franchise fee on telecommunications service. And staff does recommend approval of this bill.
And just a couple of quick questions, if that's okay. On the
Yes.
fees that are paid to the city, do those go into the general fund?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Maybe that's just one question. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Bishop, is there an estimation on what we anticipate this contract and these fees will be in an annual amount?
It's difficult to project because it's going to take some time for the deployment to be completed, so there'll be a time for build out. I know they're actively working on seeking permits right now and want to be ready to hit the ground running once the franchise, providing the franchise is approved at Wednesday's council meeting. I do know that they have competitive pricing for their services, which could generate new customers, as well as it could cause some folks to want to switch to that service. I think their 1 gig service is $70 a month. And they did not reveal to us their financial projections because those are confidential. But we are hopeful that this new service being provided with this new provider, Google Fiber, will fill a void currently in our community with getting service to a majority of the folks living and working here. And we do have a representative of Google Fiber here today. If you do have questions for that person, if you would like him to come to the podium.
Sure. Why not?
I think it would be helpful. I know you've put a lot of work into this, and I really appreciate how much time and energy it took into getting this going over the last year. We've had lots of conversations around it. And we're one of the first in the valley to do that, but it's not the first for Google Fiber. This is done in other parts of the country as well. And Mr. Musgrove, do you mind just sharing with us your thoughts?
Thank you for the opportunity, Dan Musgrove, on behalf of Google Fiber. It's an honor for us to have this before you today because we have identified Southern Nevada as one of the target cities for Google. This is a fiber desert as far as anyone can see. And We have a previous agreement with Clark County just maybe less than a month or so ago, it seems. Our intention is to go valley-wide. We've had excellent relationships with the city, and to her point, it's tough for us to do, revenue projections in that this is a membership. We have to lay the fiber first. There's a huge capital investment for us to do that. We will be laying it hopefully in front of every house in the city of Las Vegas, and then it's up to our salespeople to go in and get them to have the willingness to sign up for Google. And because our product is so competitive and so much faster than anybody else, that we hope that we'll sign lots of folks up and be able to pay you lots of the 2%.
That is wonderful. Then the request that we talked about in my office is as you're going around Las Vegas, keeping the city and the council offices included in what those construction timelines would look like in the neighborhoods you're going to be in, so that we can be informed and educated and help promote the connectivity within our community as well.
Oh, absolutely, Councilman. It's so important for us to not only work with Public Works and your great team there, in that we don't want to do anything that's not without their approval, but we spend a lot of time working with the neighborhoods to make sure that there is no shock that we're going to be in there. We do door hangers. We will work with you and your magazines to let folks know, your monthly newsletters that go out. Anything that you would like us to do in terms of that notification, it just helps make our job easier. And that is what we've done in all the other cities that we've come to. And I just wanted to also say it's very great to see Mr. Steed. He and I have known each other for a very long time, and I haven't seen him in a long time, so it's good to see him.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions up here?
Yeah, one quick. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know if this is for the city manager's office or Ms. Bishop, but we've had other broadband franchises in the last 6 months or 8 months come through that don't have the 2% levied. What is the city's plan as far as going back? Do we readjust those? Do we wait until they expire and then perhaps suggest that they also pay 2%?
Hi, Tim Hacker for the City Manager's Office. That's something that we have definitely acutely aware of as these companies are coming in pretty rapidly. It's a real wide open market right now. From the City Manager's perspective, this is the model going forward. So I guess if there are other broadband users out there that have current franchise agreements, as they come to expire, definitely we would negotiate based on this model. Gina, if you have anything else to add?
Yes, thank you, Tim, for that. Again, Gina Bishop, for the record, franchise officer for the city. We do have some new agreements in the pipeline. We have 3 that are expiring this year, and they will be moved over to this template. This, as Tim pointed out, this template is the standard going forward for communications franchises, and it will be followed. So stay tuned and look for some new agreements coming down the line in the near future from both new broadband-only providers as well as existing franchisees that we are moving to the new template.
Nice job, Ms. Bishop. Thank you very much. And Mr. Musgrove, thank you for your client for participating and working with the city. And this is a public hearing for anybody that would like to comment. We have a comment right here. Come on down. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name's Carla Campos. I'm actually a member of Communication Workers of America, Local 9413 out of Nevada, which represents about 1,000 workers, including over 500 telecom technicians who deploy and maintain our critical broadband infrastructure here in our town. I am present this morning to ask that the recommending committee take the necessary steps to amend Google Fiber's draft franchise agreement to include contractor transparency language and baseline labor standards regarding worker training and safety. As is, the agreement fails to include any labor standards or requirements that Google Fiber regularly inform the city of which contractors will be working on the rights of way, and if those contractors are properly licensed and their workers adequately trained and certified. Over the past decade, Google Fiber's deployment has been plagued with constituent complaints rights-of-way damage, and utility hits in 2022, excuse me. The Texas Climate Jobs Project produced a report on Google Fiber's work in the state and found that the company regularly relied upon contractors that owed employees back wages and had enforcement actions levied against them. In a union town like Las Vegas, this is unacceptable. CWA looks forward to working with you all to include a contractor transparency amendment in Google Fiber's franchise agreement with the City of Las Vegas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to suggest, Mr. Musgrove, I'm going to follow up with you on that request in particular. I'm not going to suggest any changes to the agreement that we have now. But if you can leave your contact information, a business card or an email address with me, I'll come out and find you after. Then I'll follow up on any relevant information. Mr. Musgrove, if you're able to collect any information that's relevant to that request, I'd appreciate it. With that, I'm comfortable making a motion unless you want to. I'm going to move to approve Bill number 2024-16 as is. Please vote. And please post. And Bill number 2024-16 will be eligible for adoption at the council meeting of June 5th, 2024. That brings us to item number 7. This is citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the recommending committee. No subject may be acted upon by the recommending committee unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If there's anybody who'd like to comment in this portion of the agenda, please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, we can adjourn today's recommending committee. Thanks, everyone.